Hello, welcome and thank you for being here today. It is a really exciting experience to have designers from all across the globe coming together to share insights about design approaches they are passionate about, as it's the case today. And for this, we would like to make our session a bit more interactive. We can all switch on our cameras. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Zainab Matar. I'm an architect. After working as an architect for a couple of years, I pursued a master's in architecture engineering at Politecnico di Milano, and that's how I added the engineering flavor to my practice. I'm a project architect at the moment, based in the north of Italy. I'm also a lecturer at Politecnico. My areas of interest are sustainable construction, multidisciplinary design, and more particularly, food-integrated architecture. So, who are we? What is Vastukul? Vastukul is an innovative platform, first of its kind for architecture, design, construction, and planning education, targeted at learners everywhere. We aim to facilitate learning, teaching, and the sharing of knowledge in an experiential and innovative way. It is a one-stop shop to learn both theories and practices, laced with multi-skill enhancements in the mentioned fields for anybody, anytime, and anywhere. Presently, Vastukul provides one-to-one customized mentorship sessions to learners in the mentioned fields to develop their portfolio, the resume, and their career. Along with this, there are live masterclasses, like the one that we are in here, short courses and workshops to bridge this gap between the learners and the leaders. Here are the people behind Vastukul. I think we need to. Here are the people behind Vastukul. We are alumni from best universities for architecture, design, and planning, or passionate about this architecture and planning education. So, be a part of Vastukul's community with the global learners and leaders. We have a surprise announcement for you in the end, so stay tuned. About our session today. Our session will be a presentation by our guest speakers from MVRDV, followed by a 15-minute Q&A. So if you have questions during or after the lecture, you can write them in the chat box and we will pass them to our guests in the end. This lecture is also recorded. You will get the recording after the session. It will be on the Vastukul webpage. There are also certificates, which we can prepare within a week, and we will send them to you. MVRDV. MVRDV brings us together today. I bet every single designer among us, seeing the fact that we are attending, but not only, was inspired over the course of their education, training, or practice by MVRDV's designs. In my case, for example, as it could be for others, my first inspiration was the project The Couch, back when I was studying an architecture school, which to me seemed very simple, elegant, and really innovative. After that, I was really inspired by the Y Factory's vertical village concept. I'm sure that every one of us has a project in mind when he thinks about MVRDV. If we look at their journey in the world of design, MVRDV was established in 1993. It's based in Rotterdam. Their aim was to transform landscapes for a better future. So simple, yet very important, and I think that they definitely succeeded. MVRDV has provided solutions to contemporary architectural and urban issues in all the regions of the world. Their highly collaborative and research-based design methods involves the clients, stakeholders, and experts. Their work is exhibited and published worldwide and has received numerous international awards. There are 250 architects, designers, and urbanists developed projects in multidisciplinary collaborative design process. Our guest speakers today bring different expertise from MVRDV. Let me start by introducing the first guest speaker. architect Mariya Gyaurova. Mariya graduated from UACEG with a master's degree in architecture. She studied architecture in Bulgaria and the Czech Republic. She has actively been a part of the diverse architectural project phases, from the concept design to the construction documents, and even construction site supervision, having this experience working at different offices in Sofia, Amsterdam, and Rotterdam. Mariya has been associated with MVRDV since 2012. Currently, she is the project leader, leading public and residential projects at different stages. Our second guest is architect Jose Manuel Garcia. Jose has been an architect at MVRDV since 2018. He has integral experience at all levels of the design process, with a special keenness on urban and architectural approaches and their interaction with the natural environment. He specialized in the design connection between architectural strategies and the natural environment and how they could coexist to create better quality cities. Joining MVRDV, he has been eager to merge his different knowledge to develop new concepts that help to improve the quality of the urban spaces in cities. We are very happy and honored to welcome you in our virtual stage. Mariya and Jose, we are all ears and the stage is yours. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Zainab, for your nice introduction. We are very glad to have the honor to speak at this webinar, and we thank you for inviting us. We believe in the importance of connecting architectural education with the professional environment, what you do in Vastukul, and we believe in the importance of making this transition easier for the young professionals. We hope that with this lecture, we can give you a better understanding of the profession and from inside, and by taking you into the journey through the way ideas are born at MVRDV, and to contribute to your learning process. My name is Mariya Gyaurova. I'm from Bulgaria. I'm a project leader, an architect, and a BIM specialist at MVRDV. I have been working for the company for almost 10 years, and mainly in high-rise mixed-use projects in the Middle East and Europe. And this is my colleague, Jose.
Hello, I'm Jose Garcia. Also, as Celia already explained myself, I'm natural from Spain, and I work in MVRDV as a design architect since 2018, with the special focus in architectural projects and urbanism.
In this session, we are going to talk about who we are, where we work, what is our methodology, and how do we apply it in the project.
So we're going to start, even though I guess that all of you already know us a bit, or you have read about us. I think we are going to start with a small introduction about who we are. So I think we try to be people that create social, innovative, or realistic, sometimes green, remarkable architecture and urbanism with this aim of changing the world. No? Our office was founded, more than 25 years ago, by 3 architects. They are Vinnie Mas from the right, Jacob van Rijs in the middle, and Nathalie de Vries on the left. And both 3 of them together, they form what is called MVRDV. Of course, we have also our directors and partners. They are the ones that lead the different studios in which MVRDV is divided and focus in different fields. No, but and all of them, they form what we can say is sort of the head and the future of MVRDV. However, they cannot do everything alone. We are way more people behind them. No? So these are basically a party that we did for our 25th anniversary in the BPRO, one of the first projects of MVRDV. And we're collective around 300 people. So right now we are a collection, as I said, of more than 300 people around the world. It's in a conglomeration of more than 30 different nationalities that basically bring us a lot of backgrounds, culture, different visions, different identities, characteristics that we all try to merge it and shape it in architecture and urbanism. And you might wonder how we organize. So we are a big office, but in reality, how we organize is we have different studios that sometimes are divided by expertise, like urban studio, or divided by location, like Das Studio, which is more focused in Germany, and Francophone. As well, we come with new transversal studios that serve with their knowledge to all of us, like Next Studio, being experts, or of course, now this is really important, sustainable experts. For more than 25 years, we have been able to work a lot. So we are being able to work on more than 1,000 projects located in different parts of the globe. At this very moment, we have 4 offices, who knows how many more in the future. And they're located in Shanghai, Paris, Berlin, and the headquarters, where we are located now and doing this lecture, in Rotterdam, Netherlands. Our scope of work is quite wide and goes from small objects to big urban plans that change the city. We could say that we do everything, but we learn from everywhere. We love this synergy of working in different fields, because one can teach you something that later you can apply to the other. We believe on creating with this sort of highly collaborative research-based design approach that will eventually always try to answer global issues, but always with a contextual answer, referring to the culture of the place. We don't try to copy elements from one place to the other. We always try to understand what is happening on the place, on the place that we are locating our design. As well, we try to be sustainable. Right now, we have an aim in the future to be 100% sustainable. Even we are taking actions like reducing our flights or having our lunch in the office, which is fully vegetarian and 100% local. Or, for instance, like this lecture, this online meeting is not present in a place. No, I think nowadays the online really give us a tool to be more sustainable. We always try to also in our press to involve and engage the community. This is this is one part of the DNA of MVRDV. And all of that, we always try to share this knowledge through publications. I think Celia already showed the Vertical Village or another kind of KM3 or Pharmax. We are one of the highlights books that we did in the past.
And where are we located? As Jose already mentioned, MVRDV has offices in Rotterdam, Paris, Berlin, and Shanghai. Actually, recently, there was the opening of our Paris office that took place 2 weeks ago with a very exciting exhibition called Agir, which means to act, where MVRDV and the Y Factory present the activist side of architecture and urbanism. But our true home is Rotterdam. This is the MVRDV house where we are right now. We are now in one of the meeting rooms. The interior of the MVRDV house we have designed ourselves. It consists of a generous central space that we call the atelier, that allows for immediate and informal discussions among the colleagues. And different type of meeting rooms with various colors that celebrate diversity and improve creativity. If you have a meeting, you can pick a meeting room matching your type of meeting or also your mood. Sometimes there is light at the office until late because we tend to become sometimes too passionate for what we do. But we also know how to have fun inside and outside the office in our lovely courtyard where various events take place when the weather is nice. And now I want to tell you a little bit of history about the building that we work at. It was finished after the Second World War. It was designed by a legendary Dutch architect who is called Maaskant. It was commissioned by the municipality of Rotterdam. The name is Het Industriegebouw, and it came to be one of the first multi-company buildings in the Netherlands. National monument since 91. And it's really the coolest block in town. It's a creative hub. It's most of its spaces are rented by creative professionals, and it's also big enough that allows us to expand, which we need. It is a very lively ground level, activating the surroundings, and it accommodates various functions like cafes, restaurants, bars, bike shops, etc. This is our atelier. This is one of the spaces from the office where the concepts are being cooked up. And actually now Jose is going to introduce you to our methodology and how these ideas come to life.
Yeah, because well, we show where we work. Of course, the place is super important, no, to bring ideas and bring new ways of thinking. But we also have a methodology. No, how do we work in order to achieve all these big aims and goals that we have? We have developed like what we can call it a comprehensive methodology. This methodology is in the way just a guideline that varies depending on the context, the brief, the programs. It runs sometimes through the whole project, but in a way adapts to it. The system also helps us to have an office common strategy which everybody uses. We are more than 300 people, so of course we need guidelines that teach everybody how to proceed. This methodology is just structured in a way that first we always analyze the different available data. Let me try to do this. We always analyze the different available data to define our objectives and ambitions. With those, we create different scenarios and possibilities that we will evaluate and optimize and have the best possible outcome so as to get our final design. So let's start first with analysis. For us, as we said at the beginning of this lecture, it's super important analysis because we believe in a big research-based design process with clear steps towards an outcome. Every project, in the end, is a result of a juxtaposition of thousands of different layers, from mobility, infrastructure, history, green, different. Of course, we never try to get to know all of them. It always depends on the project and its nature. Nevertheless, there are some which could be later really important for the project. That's why we always try to analyze, for instance, the context. Analyzing the context and its dynamics is important to get to know the condition of the site. In this research, for example, called Le Grand Puzzle, over 10,000 photographs of a street elevation were collected to map the city. In that way, we brought a new and unexpected way to see the streetscape. Another layer that we always analyze is the program. The program, the components, the relationship, the size of it, the grain of the program, because when you discuss about a master plan, it's not the same as creating a small residential block. The grain is quite different. Helps later us to be able to locate them in a correct order. Like in this tower in Australia, on which each program becomes in the end a neighborhood on its own, giving a character to each block of the final stack. Another layer to analyze is, of course, the infrastructure, especially nowadays where everything is hyper-connected. Nodes, city centers, trains, etc. Understand these nodes of transportation, travel times to the city center, accessibility, efficiency is important because using this data, actually, in Oslo was proposed to place all the program of the development on the city along with all these places with most potential of development, created in that way an equal level of densification throughout the city in this proposal. As well, many times the best way to understand the constraints and opportunities of a site is through, of course, the inhabitants of it. In this case, our team with local communities and stakeholders researched the different problems of these sites, which is the city center of Glasgow, in these many layers. No? What are their opinion about the green? No? What are their opinion about the public space, or basically the cultural elements that they have in the city? Are their opinion about, I don't know, the streetscape is too busy, they want pedestrianize the city center, or the mix of the city center, no? In the end, we got sort of a holistic human perspective map, which unlocks all the potential of the city for this future vision of Glasgow. And in the end, what we did is propose a series of projects that will collectively contribute the upgrades of the city. Another layer, of course, is the history of the site. Every city is an entity on continuous movement that develops and redevelops over itself. We could later even study the history of the. Another important layer, of course, is the history of the site. As he said, indeed, every city develops over itself. No, so we could even say that we study all the traces of the history, brought them to the surface like an X-ray. This X-ray, in the end, we could work or use to create this beautiful garden proposal. In this new layer that we create in this garden, basically was the necessary structure for the location of different species and programs over the whole development, forming, I think, almost 1,000 different gardens. Another layer that we always try to analyze is the green, analyzing the green. And why? No, the green network is a really important layer nowadays because we need to consider it and to care about it. It's the base for all the biodiversity, and it's in the end, our connection to nature. No? In this valley in Armenia, our team did a really deep research of the current green networks and landscapes that was basically necessary to envision. And thanks to that, to the analysis, the team could propose an amazing patchwork of over 10,000 different gardens that will enrich this area and connect it even more, the inhabitants, to the nature. Another element to analyze is the future users, who will be populating our design, who they are, and how they will basically like to live. What are their needs? What do they need to create their own house? For example, we could study the needs of the future user of this master plan to later design rules that will help them to build their own plot house and end up in this multiple patchwork of identity, and like this plan in Almere, Oosterlingen, where everybody can do in the end whatever they want. If you want to live in a dome or you want to live in a square, it's possible. You just need to follow basic rules, and you develop. It's like a do-it-yourself master plan. Another important layer, of course, we analyze the climate, and rules like daylight and direct sunlight could shape the building in a way that each building, we could say, that receive they land at ground level for a minimum, let's say, of 2 hours. No? In this situation, these sandcats that we create, combined with a 15 meters depth of the buildings, are the architectural rule that define the regeneration of the on this neighborhood in Bordeaux. And last but not least is our beloved regulation. Many times we really like to visualize and present this influence of regulation like buildings, no? By doing so, sometimes we're able to create unexpected forms that go beyond artistic intuition or geometries that you will normally know. We could say it's like a data-driven design. Currently, well, this is a representation of Rotterdam, and currently in Rotterdam are planned over 100,000 apartments to be added to the stock of the city, and with a height of up to 200 meters. So as a citizens, and we as a citizens, because we live here, we worry about how the streets will look like, no? If they're going to be really dark, or you are gonna miss parks, for instance. So we question this because we don't believe in absolute constraints, no? Like the left, that this is the rule. Instead, we could say that as long as you don't cast too much shadow of a sunspot, you can do whatever you want as a developer, which we could call performative constraints. As a result, many more urban developments potential are released from one single change of the sentence. This is basically a representation of the many possibilities that we could arise just following this performative rule.
And through analysis, we find the challenges and the opportunities in each project. We define our objectives. Our objectives to be more green by bringing the vegetation to the building facades and the roofs. To be more dense by, for instance, creating instead of a cluster of freestanding buildings, a singular mountain structure with peaks and valleys, an efficient slab where more than 1,000 apartments are unified in one building and under, as we did in the project that I believe you all know in Pune, the future towers. Or to be iconic and to become the symbol of a city. This is the Depot Boijmans van Beuningen in Rotterdam that opened in 2020. This is, and it's the world's first publicly accessible art storage facility, and we believe an architectural symbol of Rotterdam. We want to create attractive designs, just like the landscape of love that we designed for the Pose district in Orlando, where MVRDV envisioned to address the physical, the psychological, and also the social needs of the community. We aim to create flexible spaces by designing buildings with extra high ceilings that allow for mezzanines, for multiple changes in the floors, and added by the future users, or by placing the circulation to the outside and completely clearing up the interior so that it can be 100% flexible and can be easily reconfigured. But we also want to be fun. And this is the project that we did for a Dutch carpet manufacturer. And it is a patchwork of different colors and textures. And what's really important to mention here is that was created by the leftover threads from the production of other carpets. We want to be mixed by designing buildings in which all functions are fully integrated together to celebrate and to enhance their synergetic possibilities. Like what we did in the Market Hall in Rotterdam. It is a secure, weatherproof public square, and it's covered by a large arch of apartments. We want to create diversity by combining various programs and types of apartments under one roof, like the building Silodam in Amsterdam, which is a stack of different neighborhoods, a series of neighborhoods, each with its own identity in terms of circulation, organization, units, and facade. It's a mixed program of housing, offices, workspaces, commercial spaces, and public spaces, and they're arranged under one urban envelope. The apartments themselves, they differ vastly, not only in size, but also in price and organization. And we want to create human scale designs. We aim for collective spaces where people can meet and share, spaces that we can all be together. We want to be connected by transforming, for example, an existing overpass into a public garden. This is a project we did in Seoul. And by changing the daily life of thousands of people who cross Seoul city center every day, but also every night. And of course, we want to create pleasant spaces, places by creating more green and pedestrian areas in the cities. We aim to be sustainable by, for example, creating new possibilities for waste materials and invent a completely new project. A new product. And like in this project, the high profile, which was inspired by a visit of the team in the factory where they spotted the stack of aluminum profiles and all this raw material and waste. And it became actually the starting point of the design. Or in that way, we also designed the Bulgari jade-like facade in Shanghai, which is made of brass and recycled champagne bottles. We aim to be innovative by using material in a different, unexpected, and unique way, creating new building techniques and working closely with a number of partners, like in the crystal houses in Amsterdam. That was done in, the bricks were developed in close collaboration with the Delft University. And we want to be transparent by exhibiting essential processes from the background that usually always stay at the background, hidden and not shown to the public. We also want to be more open to the green, to the outside, to create more views. We want to create honest designs by manifesting the structure, exposing the circulation, and celebrating the material in its pure form. And we want to be inclusive by, for instance, making the roofs, all the roofs accessible, bringing the public up, giving the visitor a completely new perspective on the city, and providing awareness actually about the potential of the roofs. In this image, we have shown the rooftop walk in the center of Rotterdam that is currently open to the public. And it was built within the Rotterdam Architectural Month. And it's just really amazing to be on top of the roofs and to have this completely different perspective of Rotterdam.
So from this first analysis, these objectives and ambitions that we are set, we ask the question of what do we do or how we do it. We need to answer those questions in a way that fulfill all those ambitions. To do that, we do in our methodology what we call scenarios. Designed for us is a result of this interactive process, which in the end allow the best design to emerge, out of those. It's an outcome that is based on objectives and ambitions. And these scenarios are created, for instance, in sort of based on different elements. We can create scenarios based on extremes. In a way, we could think about radical elements or radical scenarios, like, for instance, create a plateau, in this project, or we can create a big hill, what a huge hill will do to the city, or a garden, what if in this project we do a beautiful garden that welcome everybody, even though it's a private plot. Or what if we do a collection, a collection of different objects with different identities together that becomes this new icon on the city? Or what if we do a cloud, a cloud that basically serves as a canopy for this amazing plot, and the people can gather and play under it? Or what if we do the biggest tower? I know Manhattan would love to have this, but what if we do it in Oslo, the biggest tower that you can see from everywhere of the city? Or a campus, a beautiful campus with different identities and different buildings. You can choose where to live. You can live in the S building, or you can live into the courtyard or into a tower. These are scenarios, in the way we create them, because are a benchmark, from which our final concept will arise. Of course, by creating extremes, what we try to understand is what do they do in order to choose the design that best serves the city, or sometimes it's as simple as just doing in the end a beautiful courtyard for this project in Oslo. Many times, this scenario could base in this program distribution. These are pictures actually of our exhibition now in the New Institute in Rotterdam, where thousands of physical models were collected. So these different possibilities of organization the program along a building, in this case, we create different ways to discover it. Do we simply stack the program, or can we create different identities along the building? Who we think about a route that through the whole tower you can discover it? Or we can also create plazas at every level, like a 3D city that lights up the sky during the night. And this is in the end what we did for this I-Beam Institute in New York. Or we could create scenarios by typologies. Do we do a tower or a courtyard or row houses? For this master plan, and we check these possibilities that each block could bring. Then later, as a result, we could decide to select in the way all of them in a dynamic intervention for this master plan in Moscow. To sum up, we have start from analysis, which is analyzing the important layers of our design. Then, thanks to that information, we create our concepts that will better answer those questions. Sometimes the target is a compromise of a balance within these different scenarios, but other times we have to prioritize, and one ambition will rule over the others, like, I don't know, being green or being iconic. What we want to make clear now is like every action that we do has a reason, and it has a nature to existence. Every scenario, we fulfill elements of the objectives, and none of them will have only one objective to fulfill in a banal way, like just doing something iconic for the purpose of being iconic.
And but how do we tell the story? How do we explain the project in a way that is very clear and easy to understand? This we do by creating the narrative. The narrative is always an integral part of the MVRDV DNA. And we visualize this in usually with a step story or a concept diagram. We always come back to these diagrams throughout the whole process, and we really want to make sure that the story is clear, easy to explain, it makes sense, and the concept is maintained. In this chapter, we have prepared for you a set of concept diagrams and that were created in the beginning of the process and then combined with the end result. Concept diagrams for the Boijmans Depot in Rotterdam. Then here you can see first, we outline the plot where we can build. Then we define the urban situation, the urban restrictions. And in this case, what is very important is this access between the new institute and the Kunsthal. Then we position the building, we extrude the program, just all the square meters we put on the site. And then we round the facade so that it doesn't have a backside. It's just has a face to everywhere, to the surroundings. Then we minimize the footprint in order to get the maximum public space on the ground floor. And of course, maximum vegetation. And then we maximize the roof to create a garden and a view platform towards the sea. Then we redistribute the position. We adjust and optimize the position of the building to even create more public space on the ground floor, and we optimize the view lines. We also like to do explanatory diagrams to clarify the landscape concept, the facade, the structure, the green, the terraces, and just all important aspects of the project. This is the Boijmans Depot, built in 2020, and it's, I can say, one of MVRDV's dreams that came true. As you probably recognize also this project, this is the Valley in Amsterdam. And again, we have first, we define the envelope, then we optimize it to create a clean shape. Then step 3 is to create terraces and to create terraces that provide maximum sunlight to the houses. And then we bring them to the ground floor to connect to the street and to give public access to the first level of the buildings that are offices and commercial. And this is a photo from the construction. The building is complete now. This is the concept diagram for the crystal houses. That's the original facade, how it was. And this is how it looked like the existing situation when the project was started. And this is the urban prescription, how the volume would be in future. So then the first step was to rebuild the old facade, but in glass, and then to stretch the whole volume in order to fit the urban parameters, and then to create this gradient between the traditional bricks and the newly developed glass bricks, to combine in a way the Dutch heritage with the international architecture. These diagrams shows a very expressive building volume that it's actually coming from a deep analysis, and each cut has its reasoning. And first, again, we extrude the site, we put the program, and then we extrude the maximum volume. Actually, this step 2 is the envelope. And then we start cutting. We create this 45% inclined degrees inclined planes and from the neighboring buildings to make sure that there is sufficient daylight that would lead to comfort and also to energy saving. All the roof planes are actually ideal for to place solar panels and also to accommodate green roofs. And this concept, it's an evolution of the urban strategy tool that MVRDV has been developing and is actively applying in cities in need of sustainable densification. In this project, this is the Bordeaux project that already Jose explained a little bit, but it's about having the ground floors of all the buildings, giving them a minimum of 2 hours of sun. And basically, it's the same concept. We extrude the plots, and then we start cutting with planes that would create this unexpected volumes at the end. This is the milestone project we did. We extrude the plot. You can see this, it's a GIF, so I will go quickly through it. So I start like would it repeat, Jose?
Yeah, I will repeat.
We extrude, project the map of the area and then project the landscape. We push to create diversity. We open, make a void to get more sunlight. And then we bring all the program actually that we excavated, we bring it on top. We optimize the location of the building on site. And then we bring a public layer in the void to create the landmark for Oosterlingen in Germany.
So, of course, we have created our concepts. No, we have go through this process of analysis, objectives, scenarios, choosing which concept or which scenario fulfill better our aims. But of course, we don't stop until we optimize the best version of it. No, this evaluation process that we will show you now normally is related to certain elements of the concept that really enhance it. No? On this point, on this phase, also I would like to introduce you one of these transversal studies that I explained at the beginning is MVRDV Next. They are the people that are in charge of developing and testing all these different tools that I will just show you now that later help us, the designers, to study and evaluate the different performance of the building and different topics. As I said at the beginning, this evaluation is related to specific topics. And what do I mean with that? It is the topics that really define the concept or enhance the building. In this master plan, for instance, the evaluation was focused on GFA and footprint because we have different ways to shape it. But of course, in order to choose, we don't choose driven by aesthetic. That never happened. In this case, we chose basing on these parameters. No? Then, with those parameters, we not only calculate them, we can even visually overlap all this information, no? In order to see which one performed the best in relation to these principal goals. You see in this GIF, actually, these 4 different scenarios of master plan that overlap to each other, and we can check which block is bigger than the other and which option has the least amount of footprint, for instance, in order to choose in the end the final result for this Tencent project master plan in China. Sometimes evaluation is related to the variation and performance. Let's see if I can. sometimes it's related to variation. No? In this building, were designed around 3 or 4 different layouts of floor plan. But of course, there are many ways to organize them. No? So through this script, we were able to analyze all the possible configurations of these compositions. And as you see how the numbers start growing, we could have 1,000 of possible solutions. But the question now is, okay, we have the solution. So how do we choose among them? No? After an evaluation that you see on the left, depending on the goal set, in this case, where orientation, uniqueness, facade area, accessibility to terraces, view, sun exposure, we could determine which variation in the end could give us the best balance that we're looking for. Sometimes even, well, it's not easy to choose because you don't have always the best one. No, you need to compromise to find a balance. But also these tools are quite unique and helpful to use it for discussion with clients, no? Because we have our ambitions, but they have also their ambitions, no? So in the end, we can have negotiations and discussion with them to pick and choose or to move up and down, and in the end select the final results what that we like the most. Like this Le Rack, it's a building called Le Rack in France. Another element to evaluate, and most important nowadays, of course, is the climate performance, no? The daylight factor, the sun hours, the sun, the wind, sorry, the shadow, and how is its compactness or the heat, no, that creates, no? In this case, in this project, that was important is to analyze the different angulations and distributions of these solar panels, so as to get a position of the panel in a particular place that achieves the best solar gain possible. Now you can see different studies here that depend on if it's placed in a flat way or if it's placed in an angulated way towards the sun, is gaining different values of energy to have in the end the most optimal solar facade ever, like this sun rock that we developed in China. Or how to get solar exposure into apartments, no? We have seen already a few examples of how we really like to use the sun and the climate to shape our buildings, even though they look spectacular. We always want them to be driven by a reasoning. So in this case, the building envelope was 3 towers and a plinth that we carved out according with these different parameters like sun and view and terraces. We wanted to not only carve out as well to improve the energy efficiency and sustainability of this project, while also ensuring that our design intent is intact, no? So when we incorporate all these wishes into a criteria and create this algorithm, we can test and compare countless possibilities. This parametric model helps us to actually simulate an assault of these options that we have seen before, to later, of course, choose the one that best fit our wishes, like this valley that we have presented before, of course. It's finished. You are all welcome to come and to visit it because it's quite impressive actually in life. This evaluation and this optimization is not only in a bigger scale of the building or the floor, also could be related to detailing, no? To small details of the project that really make the project shine. In this case, we wanted to use this old pattern that we found in the shopping mall in France. So what we did is we analyzed it and we decompose it in different elements and layers. So you have the layers behind that are the yellow ones, that they have different shape, of course. You have the layer in front that are the blue ones. So analyzing all these elements and data, later we could create a scripts that play with these layers and density in a way that we wanted to create the wizard gradient effect in our facade. So in a way, it's like an old facade that opens up to the new, and finally realize it, like we are doing in Lyon. Last but not least, we not only develop the tools specifically for our projects, we have developed as well an internal tool called Carbon Escape, because we think that nowadays it's quite important to analyze the impact of our projects on Earth, what is our carbon footprint. And recently, all these calculations are done in the later stages of the design and not really at the beginning. So we think that calculating this carbon will be effectively help our designs and, of course, our impact on Earth. From study models, we check the possibilities of spaces, and then we explore the different impact that it's going to have compared to benchmark scenarios. This graphic is really important because we think that, as I said before, this calculation of carbons are normally made in later stages, but by doing these calculations on the beginning of the process, we think that we could have a really big impact on how this building will perform in the future. So from the beginning, calculated the impact is going to have a more important result.
And this methodology that we have explained already, it brings us to the final result. And this final result can be many things, but we tend to always use this methodology in our projects. The final result that could be a design, could be a fantastic design proposal, like the proposal we did for the new Vltava Philharmonic Hall in Prague. Then it could be also realization, yes, very small scale realization like the pavilion in Germany, or a very large scale realization. But it could also be an open framework where certain urban parameters and conditions are defined by the architects, and then the users actually can build whatever they want within these parameters. This is the Omere Oosterworld master plan, and basically you can build whatever you want there in whatever shape you like. You decide how to use your space, how to behave, and you can build the home of your dreams. You can build a castle, a dome, a prefab house, but if you feel comfortable living in a tent, go ahead, you can just place your tent there. The important is that you can build whatever you want, but you have to do it yourself. That's the main principle. And the final result could be also a game, giving the users the opportunity to create their own master plan or to create their own home. This is a project developed by the Y Factory, and each home is based in size and shape. It's based on the desires and needs of the users. We also sometimes we end up with a catalog. We create catalogs exploring all the potential applications of a certain concept, like, for example, the potential of the roofs. And now, in this last chapter of the section, we would like to explain to you, to go a bit into details, to present to you selected projects, few projects that we with Jose worked on, in order to show you how the methodology is actually applied in the projects. So I give the word to Jose to explain the first project.
Okay, so I think we have already gone through our introduction to our methodology, but as Maria said, we like it to also share a few of our own projects. Also, I think it's interesting to see how we develop them, and also you have some questions, a specific question about them, we can answer in detail. So the first project that I will present is called Barapullah Springs. A second, yeah. So we are located in New Delhi, and so I expect that actually many people from this meeting know the place or the city, of course. So in New Delhi, there is an open switch called Barapullah Drain that is around 12.5 kilometers long and run through the center of New Delhi. Of course, this has a huge impact into the structure and the urban fabric, because being an open switch basically means that it's sort of like a cut, no? A scar that you have in the city, like this, and give this sort of landscape or wasteland landscape that we don't like or we don't want to see in a city, no? So what it means, no? So actually this drain, well, as I say, it's Barapullah Drain, but it's called Barapullah Drain because coincide with the Barapullah flyover. And as you can see, it's a big source of pollution in the middle of the center. And due to this situation and the nature of it, creates what we see a large strip of unused land. I think we calculate that it's around an offset of 100 meters from the drain, where you cannot see any relevant public program. So in the end, as I said before, it's like a wasteland. But of course, nothing is negative. No? When you see a problem, normally in MVRDV, we like to see it as an opportunity. So every problem, you can always turn it around and find the optimism and the opportunity of it. So our team, MVRDV, with City Block, was also our co-architect from the Netherlands. 4 years ago, we traveled through the drain from the beginning to the end to document all the trajectory and also the offset of it. By doing so, we found and we did our analysis, and we emphasizing analysis at the beginning, because doing that, we of course documented the unused and potential parts for development that you can see in this drawing in pink, and as well because it's a border that nobody crossed, we found out that in reality is really a line that connects many treasures and important elements of New Delhi. So we could envision that this Barapullah sewage or drain could become sort of a Barapullah line, a urban connector, no? Imagine that the slow traffic route, cyclists, pedestrians, that's before they were unconnected, and now with this Barapullah line, like a metro line, no? That you can go inside and decide where you want to finish it. No? So saying that, we move to our ambitions, no? So we envision that from this polluted open switch, we could create a vibrant river and source of potable water. could also envision that from the disclosed waistline, we wanted to create this new public eco corridor. From this sorted of public facilities, we could envision introducing new exciting program. From this urban barrier that is now, we could think about relinking New Delhi with a new public green space. From these obstructed roads, we could think about reconnecting all the neighborhoods that are next to this drain. Of course, from this unused land, we can create new density of affordable mixed development houses. All these combinations, we can see that could form what we call Barapullah Springs, a new green connection to different neighborhoods of New Delhi through this green network. So from this analysis, these ambitions that are here, that also fits with the idea of New Delhi to be a smart city. So we wanted to be mixed. We wanted mobility. We wanted more nature inside the city. We want to be connected. We want to be more local, social, and of course, and one of the main topics here is the sanitation. From these topics, we develop a strategy in a step story, of course, like we always do, that step by step and phase by phase will change the current status of this drain into our beloved Barapullah Springs. So this is first, we have our current situation. I forgot to say that there is a regulation that is a FAR max of 4, if I recall properly. Is there? Yeah. That due to this, and this regulation is based on the availability of potable water. So actually, we create more fresh water, we can increase this factor and create more urban development. So from this step 0, the first thing that we would like to do is we barrier these streets and we separated the storm water that will come later to the gray water and black water. By doing so, we can create these canals that will collect the rainwater, and later we can relocate it to an underground canal that can serve with potable water to the neighborhoods that are next to it. Of course, and this is something that is being developed right now in the area, we can create a small treatment plants that locating them along the drain and cleaning with plants the water, we can also use it for the neighborhoods. In the end, with so much water, what can you do? You can think about actually introducing the nature again, no? With this amount of water, we can create this Barapula Park and also the Barapula Lane, that is a beautiful park that connects all these points of the city center. But we can go even beyond. What if we also program it? It's not only a park, it's also a place where it's programmed, where activity happens, when you can go during the night, during the day, create events. It's sort of a beating heart of the city. But the last question that was said is, how do we actually pay all of it? No? It's beautiful to have all this investment, but we don't know how to compensate and balance. As I said before, this bring a potential to bring a big strip of unused land that later we can develop and redevelop to bring back the investment of the Barapullah Springs, and in the end have this beautiful new corridor in the city center of New Delhi. So from this wasteland I just picture a bit sad, we can think about going a bit beyond and create this Barapullah Springs that sometimes will bring us different pictures. Of course, we'll reuse the water in a new ways that we could see in Italy.
Now I'm going to show you a project that I've been working on for about 3 years. This is the Pixel project in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, which is currently close to completion. I mainly worked on the feasibility study stage, concept stage, the SD stage, and DD phase and site supervision. The building is located in Abu Dhabi. It's located in a new development. Can I see this? Yeah. It's located on the Reem Island in a district called the Makers District. And the main values of the Makers District are creativity, learning, and sharing. It's a development aimed for locals, but also for expats. The district is providing a creative counterpart to the city's cultural hub, which is on the Saadiyat Island, and where all the museums that are designed by worldwide known architects are placed, like, for example, the Louvre by Jean Nouvel. For some reason, I don't... So how do we start? We always start with analyzing. What do we analyze? We first analyze the site, we analyze the surroundings, we see what's there and what is currently there, what is missing, and most of all, what can we bring as architects? And like here, we could see that the prevalent typology in the UAE is connected towers, which are lacking outdoor and community spaces. This is the site. You can see here the site, and this is the new reclaimed beach front, which is created. What the site restrictions are. This is the plot, about 24,000 square meters, and then we check the maximum envelope. We could build up to 90 meters. This is the program. We were asked to design 85,000 square meters. We analyzed the main access points by car and also the setbacks that were given to us, the areas where we can build actually, the maximum plot coverage, which was 60% in this case. And then we analyzed the main pedestrian connection, what we have to keep on ground floor and which area to create with which, like in that case, the mosque with the cultural, some cultural buildings and the beachfront. And then we also check the accessibility by public transport and taxi drop-offs. We analyzed the brief. We were asked to do 85,000 square meters of retail, apartments, offices, and 45,000 square meters of underground parking. We visualize it always on site with different colors. And then we define our objectives, in this case, to embrace the outdoor, to create a sense of community, to create a mix of apartments, and also to bring the human scale to this area, which is very uncommon in this part of the world. We create scenarios. We started with creating scenarios, and what Jose already explained in the first chapter, what if. So we start asking ourselves, what if we create these courtyard blocks, or what if we create a grid, or what if we create sunblocks, or a continuous slab with a huge courtyard, or what if we cover the whole space, and because the area, it's really hot in four months in the year. So what if we just create this huge covered plaza? And we analyzed all these directions. So eventually we try to reduce the option and we reached to 3 options that we were asked to present by the client, which was the mid-rise towers with the human scale plinth. Eventually, this was the direction we chose, and then to create an urban grid, providing narrow shadowed streets and plazas, option 2, or a mega slab with the shading wall. We put the options on the table, we discussed with the client, and the client definitely preferred option 1, which was also our favorite, luckily in this case. And this is our concept. We put the program on the site, and we analyze all the connections. So we redistribute the buildings we position the buildings on the site to make sure that we keep all the important urban connections. And then we diversify the 7 buildings in height to maximize the shadow and the views. And we extend the maker spaces to the ground floor to make this connection between the tower and the lively plinth and the public realm. And we materialize it. We materialize this lively public plinth to connect it with the public plaza. We aim to create an exemplary project of outdoor living and community spirit in the UAE. And these are also like some diagrams we usually like to explain also how the project will be built. For example, we have the core, the columns, the slabs, the facade, the outside facade, which is different in character from the inside facade. And we add the shading screens, which is very important in this climate, and we colorize them. This is the program distribution. There is retail on the ground floor, offices on the floor above, and then covered with the residential program. There is underground parking access, pedestrian access on the site, all over the site, and then the apartments are reached by 7 cores, central cores. This is the Makers Plaza, the public realm, which was actually developed together with the Danish office BIG. And it's to show that we're not always competing among the offices, but sometimes we collaborate and we work closely together to create a better future. The towers are deeper at the bottom, and they have smaller footprint on the top. And that suits very well the functions, which are retail on the bottom and then offices. And also, what is good to mention here is that above the offices, there are actually luxurious apartments, which is uncommon to happen on the lower levels, right? Like usually the luxurious and high-end apartments, we find them on the top of the tower. But in that case, because we bring so much quality in the public realm, then there are a lot of big luxurious apartments with big loggias at the lower levels, so that the apartments can actually benefit from the creative and vibrant public realm. This is an overview of all the levels, starting from public to private. And then this is a sample of one of the towers. There are shops and restaurants, as I mentioned already, and volume is sometimes cut to create these narrow, cozy passages, shadowed, and to create this cozy feeling for the visitors, and also like mini plazas. On level 1 are the offices, and they're quite flexible to be separated. In the residential part, it's an essential part of the an essential part are those standard apartments. You could see they're the perimeter apartments, and then there is a percentage of special apartments that happen towards the inside of the development, and they have more views and more outdoor spaces. What is the unique selling point of the project is that the apartments are quite narrow, which means that they have more base and more windows, bringing more sunlight. And always the living rooms are at the corner, or they are 2-bay living rooms, as you can see here. So we try to avoid this typology of really deep apartments and one bay living room with the kitchen at the back. The MEP is positioned on the roof, and then we cover the roof with the grid to ensure that the fifth facade of the building, and it looks from the top, it's also nice to look at the development from top, because it's surrounded by a high tall towers. And we have two types of facade: the grid perimeter facade, which is more sober with big windows. It's textured concrete panels with a gradient, and then we worked with it with the Amsterdam designer who developed this nice pattern inspired by the shell, and we created 4 panels that we distributed within the building, bringing a gradient from more dark at the bottom to more lighter on the top, and more stronger relief on the bottom, and then it disappears to the top of the building. The interior facade has pearlescent shading devices, and it's inspired by the Abu Dhabi pearl. And it brings colors, and it creates this vibrant environment. The common spaces we also designed ourselves. It was also scope, and we picked different colors. Each core has its own identity and its own color, and that is brought from the ground floor until the top of the houses, and goes throughout the whole core. This is one of the lobbies of the tower, and the shared spaces in the office levels. There is a gym and amenities for the residents. These are the apartments. There are 525 apartments ranging. There have different, there are many different typologies. And as we said already, that we optimized a lot on the floor plans and on special typologies to make them work for the client. And this is a studio and a 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, and a luxurious penthouse. And these are some images from the construction. And this is how we imagine the project will soon look like. I'm gonna pass the word now to Jose to explain the last project.
Yeah, thank you, Mariya. So I'm gonna run a bit fast. So we have a bit more time in case that some of you have some questions. But okay, this is the last project that we're going to present today. This project is located in Mumbai, especially in the street in Senapati, in the area of the low barrel of Mumbai, where you have this sort of long streets of Senapati, but of 11 kilometers, but we are only focused of 800. We came to this project because we were contacted by local architects called Studio Pods, and I need to mention them because they were in this case, the lead architects, and the one that were able to create this project. They contact us because they wanted our expertise and our input on how to improve this small piece of a street. Of course, this street has a really big history, from the cotton mills to the current situation that is nowadays. And that is a bit also remember like a Barapula in New Delhi is like an English land, no? It's under this flyover. There's only some green going on with this small fence, of course, surrounded by this big traffic congestion that every day run through the street. But of course, as I said before, at every problem or constraint, we can find an opportunity. So Studio Pod start this project, and they basically start doing some urban tactics to create and to start shaping this street and creating some pedestrian. But of course, there were this strip of land, a small piece that they wanted to move it a step beyond. No? How cool, and that's why they contact us for our expertise. But so as I said before, the first thing that we did is to define objectives. We ask them and we ask ourselves, what do we want here? Okay, this is of course opportunity, but what do we want to place there? And then many of those objectives were, of course, dedicated cycling paths, or to be able to attract all the users to improve the being and healthy environment, that is inside this crowded area. Of course, benchmark the project, because we start with a small piece of land that later will be the benchmark for the 11 kilometers that is the total length of the street. By doing so, we start creating our own strategies, all the elements and the ingredients that should have this street, from a continuous pavement that we can think also that we need to reuse and recycle. We also wanted a landscape strategy or a lighting comfort, but these are many. As I said before, we want to be radical, and some will prevail over the others, even though we tackle all of them. So our main idea, or what we brought into the project, was the idea of creating this sort of hill landscape, a continuous landscape that will form and shape and will create these pockets of activity through this street. So from this current section where you see noise pollution, lack of street furniture, lack of green, difficult accessibility, we wanted to go to this new street, a street vibrant, with a space under the flyover where the people can meet, can gather, can play, can, attend a concert, and also a space for green, for that biodiversity, and facing the beautiful indigenous plant that you have in India. So in the end, we propose this hill landscape. Also related, what we add is this sort of tone of blue. So this hill landscape, this shape of blue, that will give the identity needed to this strip of land. But then, what we also think of is you cannot have a monotony landscape. We wanted in this space to create these urban rooms, different rooms with different identities, but always following the same concept of the hill landscape. So in the end, this street is a correlation of a reading room, a grandstand, a place to play, or to lounge. And what they do is each of these rooms is targeted to a specific user. So in the end, thanks to that, we are able to collect all the different users that we wanted, and we are open to everyone and from everywhere, and try to achieve a 24 hours activity. So we can move from this lounge room, moving through the gym, through the carpet, where the kids can play, the playground, the grandstands, and the reading room. These are a few impressions of how we basically envision this space. I might say here that the project is realized, is built. However, I think I invite all of you to go there and to visit it. However, I cannot show you the latest picture because we haven't received them yet. So we are gonna just live with this series of renders that I think they're quite close to reality. With that, we thank you for your patience and your time to be here with us. to listen our stories. And of course, I think we have time to some questions.
Thank you very much. Well, I want just to tell you that we didn't have to be patient because I would speak for myself, and I'm sure that most of the attendees and all of the attendees just really enjoyed this very detailed walkthrough through the story of MVRDV, even the place where you are sitting, the history, and then your strategies, and then all these details about the projects. We really, really enjoyed this. And as Hussein mentioned, of course, I invite all attendees to write the questions and send them to us. Whatever doubts, whatever curiosities you still have about anything you saw, any of the projects, so please let us know. So I think we've got some questions. Okay. So it's about the early stages of development of the concept. Thanks for, so this is what the attendee is saying. So thanks for the great presentation. The question is, what if the evaluation and optimization do not go well? Would you get back on concept level and change the form? Or you consider all the possible forms for the evaluation? Because I saw in the presentation that you evaluate all possible orientations. Finish.
What was it?
Yes, well, I can start and we can ping pong the answers if you want to add something. And yeah, well, yeah, I have to say it could happen. It could. I don't know if you agree with me, Jose, but we're really not sparing effort on that. And if for some reason of course, if we reach the point when we want to optimize the design, that usually means that it's a workable, it's a good direction. So, but of course, we are not afraid to go back, and we have done it many, many times in further stages to go back to the concept, redevelop it again, and do the whole process again. So that's something that we're actually, as yeah, we are used to doing.
Yeah, I think we have to actually make sure that architecture is not a wish of the architect always. There are many stakeholders into the process. So of course, what we think sometimes is the best. Many times we encounter that that is not for certain people. No. So yes, I think of course it's an interactive process. Sometimes we move forward, but you have to always make sure that when you take 2 steps back or 1, it's always to take maybe 5 forward. So maybe even sometimes good to rethink your concept. So don't be afraid to do that.
Okay, thank you. I hope the attendee got the clarification. We've got another question from Avitesh. So they are thanking you, obviously, for this very nice presentation. And the question is, do you consider human behavior at stage design? You talked about many projects which are in different countries. So how do you do the basic research, and what is your implementation methodology?
Okay, so let's start with this one. Yeah, so human behavior. Yeah, as I said before at the beginning, of course, users are one of the big important analysis that we always need to do at every project. Also, we are aware that we are working globally, but we need to think locally, no? So in that sense, in our phases analysis, we need to tackle to understand exactly what are the needs of the inhabitants of the area and the culture, to know that later get our ambitions and goal quite well set. For instance, one thing that we always do is like we work, we are many nationalities, and many times we have always the lack to have one national in the team. For instance, when we work in India, we have always people from India working together with us, or when we are in Spain or in any other country. And as well, we don't work alone. We never work alone. We always try to collaborate with co-architects that bring us their knowledge, and we implemented them together. You disagree with me, Tama?
No, I completely agree. And there are always, of course, these local collaborators, they would always correct us if in case we go into a direction that is not fitting with the local or something.
Yeah, but the basic, I also see how the basic research done is done in many ways. Sometimes we by interviews or with understanding of the culture, of the needs. There are many ways to do this research, thousands of different ways. I think that was part of the question.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question. Are you doing pure research like MetaCity project you did a while ago?
So can you?
It's the one above, Jose, this one. Yeah, this one.
Pure research like MetaCity. Yeah, well, of course we have. Well, we don't have. Vinny Mas is the chief director of the Wave Factory in Delft. Of course, it's like can say like a branch of MVRDV.
That think tank, yeah.
The think tank or based research project. But of course, we have research projects, and yeah, we have. I don't know what to say. Yeah, we have. We need to always to have research projects. Of course, we cannot tell you all about them. Of course, we explain a couple of them, like Carbon City, Carbon Escape is just a tool, but in the way it's a research project, or even the Solar Escape, the one related to regulation, is we could understand as a research project also, because it was not a need, it was just something that we saw the opportunity to study and research and propose to the City Hall of Rotterdam. But yes, I think the research project is really a DNA, a part of the DNA of MVRDV, and we always try to have a few of them running with us.
Yeah.
But,
okay, another question. So you have multiple possibilities and details to a huge number. How do you not let one possibility hinder you or set a bias to another possibility? How do you begin to think in a completely different direction on the same conditions and information? Nice.
That's nice. Want to answer? Oh, that's difficult actually. How do you define creativity?
It's always difficult to switch, right? Like, because we love our concepts and we work on something, we love it, and suddenly we look into another possibility. But of course, each of the team, we all have our preferences. Everyone has a favorite. It's like it's difficult to switch, but
yeah, I think we bring this comebacks to the nature that of MVRDV in a way that we are not an office that the idea comes from the top to the bottom.
Yeah,
this is really the definition of MVRDV. Everybody at MVRDV has an opinion, even from Vinimas to the youngest intern, and every opinion is valid. So I think that how we think completely different is to hear everyone and to understand their opinion.
And we're somehow always open because we change so many times the design. I think we are all just open for changing the design, open for the idea to explore something new. It happens sometimes really in the last moment. We see an improvement, there is no time, but we have to go for it. It's something different. It takes a lot of time to change. But somehow I think it's just in our DNA. We are just open to the idea of doing a change for the better. So and also what Jose mentioned, I think it's very important to mention, and it's something that is really like it's common at MVRDV, that all the people that the ideas come from everywhere. It's not really like top-down process, but we have a lot of discussions, and it's very interactive process, more horizontal. Yeah, and then each person from the team usually has their own ownership certain parts of the project. So they're always responsible and reporting to what.
And in the end, we always manage to choose one option over the other.
Yeah.
That thing is, So
if we have to, sometimes we like to leave it open also.
Yeah, it's like a framework.
The project allows us.
Like the games that we show, no? Like in the end, we just create a game that everybody can do their own master plan. I don't know, like sometimes it's just not an end result, it's just an open framework.
Yeah.
Okay, another question from Josh. So for someone who is new to the industry, as this is my first year working, we saw the process how to design. What is the business side of things and how does one procure new project opportunities?
It's like, how do we get the project? What is...
Oh, that's actually that's really deserve another lecture from our business development team. How we saw the product, how is the business side of things, and how does one procure one project opportunity, a new project opportunity?
It's like, how do we get the
job?
Yeah, well, we have a full big business team, business development BD team now. So they're mainly taking.
Well, I mean, we can come back to a bit to the beginnings of MVRDV. MVRDV was set up, founded thanks to a competition like Europan, which is a famous competition in Europe. And thanks to that, actually, Vinny, Jacob, and Natalie were able to found the office. Sometimes it's just a small opportunity. And little by little, I think, and I don't know if it's from MVRD point of view or from my own opinion, that we need to be there. We need to be out there, always showing our opinion, showing our designs. Sometimes you have to research process actually is a element that really defines us. I think make us famous.
Yeah.
But new opportunities. Yeah, I think this really deserves a new lecture, and we don't have the answers to it. It's really difficult.
Maybe in another lecture, hopefully.
Yeah, I think our business development will be more than welcome.
By the BD team.
Actually, I just remember something. Our head of business development, Jan Nichols, published a book called "How to Win Work." Basically, that was a lecture that he did, and it was on this topic. It's on YouTube.
See that? Yeah.
So it's exactly related to this topic. So
great. So we can maybe take a look at the book.
Yeah.
Another question. Another question is about the metaverse. So what is the role architects are going to play in the metaverse? Is MVRDV, has MVRDV done anything in this aspect?
Okay, metaverse. That's it's an ongoing, quite an ongoing discussion nowadays. How I think it would be like a broad question. It's not only architect. What is our role as a humans on this metaverse? What are we going to do? Well, we have early studies talking about this and how to be the new interactive ways of relationship in the metaverse and also could be our role as a designers of this metaverse. There are many architects already entering into that field. To be fair, on my point of view, I'm not sure if we started. Of course, we always have it in mind, and I think that a few colleagues in our studio has started looking at it. But I don't think we have a formed opinion about the metaverse yet. But it will come for sure. I think for sure will come because it has to come.
Yeah, so we will have to wait and see in the future what happens.
Yeah.
Another question is about it's also about like working in many different nations. What are the common issues that arise for architects when you change concept, labor, people, and culture, and how do you deal with them?
It's there.
Yeah, from Parshah.
Yeah. The Pasha. Yeah, we see it. Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, it's just I think it's related to the same thing that I had said before. Of course, many times we had a discussion that in which country to work or not, but how to work. But yeah, I think it's a common strategy to all of us. Like we always need to understand the local mindset, the local idiosyncrasy about the place. How do the people live? We don't try, or we don't. Well, myself, I'm a Spanish person working in Netherlands, and then doing projects in other parts of the world. So we are a Dutch office, but we are not all Dutch. So this is a definition of how we basically encounter the projects. We always try to see every possible point of view and opinion at every project. In order, we don't want to copy and paste solutions from one place to the other. We need to be, as I said before, and repeating myself, we answer globally, but we act locally.
We try to give a contextual answer to
Yeah.
the question.
Okay, so we have one question here. It's not in this chat, it's on my device. So it's more about sustainability. So what building materials do you promote to make these buildings sustainable and energy efficient?
I think, well, we don't.
Go ahead. I will answer.
You I don't think that we don't promote really a material. We don't have a material that we say this is the MVRDV material. So the question, I think we can rephrase it in a way how we choose materials to be more sustainable. I think we could say that is the question, no? Of course, every time that we use materials are important because are the representation of our concept and our identity and the identity that we want to give the project. But we wanted also to make sure that they are as local as possible, that are related to the country or the city, local manufacturers, also to understand the process of the material, that is not done in a harmless way to the environment. And many times
use the carbon tool with project.
Yeah, we also,
and it's really per project. It's really research based, and we spend a lot of time on this part as well. Actually,
yeah. So we saw example of the Bulgari facade.
Yeah,
and that in that way came later. Of course, we had this concept. We wanted a material, and then we researching the process to make a sustainable material. We found this glass material made with from champagne bottles that we break. No, sometimes really comes as a concept on its own, but it's here also.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also here, I wanted to make sure that sustainability is not just a part that we do aside. I just realized that we don't have really a slide talking about sustainability only at the beginning. Sustainability is an integral element of the whole process. So evaluations, ambitions, analysis of sustainability is with us. It's not something that we add at the end.
Also in our daily working life, what we always implement it in the office, actually.
Yeah.
The way we behave, the way we eat, the way we
Exactly.
Okay, so I think we can just have one more. Actually, I was curious to ask you something, and maybe it's more of a well, I was curious to ask many things, but I will just ask one now. I want to ask something more subjective for you two, for Mariya and Jose as architects in MVRDV. So what is one place or one project or one challenge you would really like to take? It's like a site you want to yeah, is one thing that you would really like to have as to work on as a project somewhere in the world, and what topic is it?
Okay, let's start.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting question. I mean, of course, we think on these topics every day, but we also, like, in a way, we are always kind of specialists within the office. So, for example, I have been this like mixed-use development high-rise specialist, and then I have been mainly doing that in a way through the years, which I really enjoy, and I want to go even steps further and further and further. But yeah, what would be the dream? I mean, I like any kind of projects. If you want me to give an honest answer, I like the diversity. I also feel comfortable to work in the residential project, and yeah, I would really say I enjoy all the processes. And when there are challenges, sometimes we jump into competitions. You can do change, and in any project, I think you can bring something. So it's I always take it as a challenge and as an opportunity. What Jose said, there is there is no problem. It's always a challenge and an opportunity to do something.
Mm.
Okay.
So Jose, if you can be more specific with the.
Well, I think I could be a bit more specific. Now you said that at the end we sort of specialize always in our in that matter. Well, in my case, I think it's through the project that I present, I can already say that my target is more urbanism, and how actually the changes just only of the streetscapes can change the city. Also, like these unused parts of the city that can bring a new opportunity to the people who live there. So I could say my dream is that, not to work on this kind of projects. But as Maria said, I also like to work on we like to exchange and the synergy. So you always do one thing good. Doesn't mean that you need other projects to support your knowledge. No, you do everything, and you learn from everywhere. So in that sense, that's why I think what I love the most about MVRDV is the people and the variety of projects.
The diversity
and the diversity.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we ended this session by some dreams, because we architects like always have some visions, and there are some things we would like to do during our lives. So thank you for sharing your dreams with us. And I think that unfortunately we have to close the session now. I think that we really enjoyed every moment of it, and that was really a very terrific way to interact and share some of your knowledge with us, and that was really inspirational. So coming to an end, there are a few announcements I would like to make for everyone of the attendees. So about the certificates, just a reminder that we will send this on email within a week. And we will also share with you some feedback form, and we kindly ask you to fill it. That would really help us in our coming events. We are also open for collaborations. We can write us at contact@vastukul.org. We'll put that in the chat. And the surprise that I spoke about in the beginning, it's also related to MVRDV. So we are happy to inform you that we will have another advanced session by MVRDV on climate and sustainability, a very important topic. And that will be later, so you have to stay tuned and you will be updated about this. So everyone here today, we considered you're part of Vastukul community. We will always have more surprises and even offers for our future events. I want to thank one last time our guests for their very thorough and deep dive presentation into MVRDV and all its methodologies and projects. We really enjoyed every moment of it. And we wish you all the luck in your work and in achieving your dreams. That was really nice. And now I think it's time to close the session. Thanks everyone again. Stay tuned with Vastukul for more amazing events in the future. Thank you so much.